Actually, one more caveat to all of that. I should have said this at the beginning. It's not final yet.
Not final
This
yet.
is planned.
That's why you probably saw the little
the odds are very high. We do 90% of it or most of it, maybe even all. But as we get into the weeds of things and we're updating things, some things may change. So this is our plan. It's very likely it'll be at least most of it, if not all of it. But it's not completely in the game yet, so...
There might be some number tweaks, basically.
Yeah, we always add a small caveat just because things are still going through testing right now on our side.
Correct.
And we want to make sure...
testing, all that stuff.
Yeah,
so.
we want to make sure we're not completely...
I'm very careful. I always caveat, not final until you see it in the game.
Adam's being very cautious about it.
I am very cautious.
It's not going to be... You're not going to experience something that's totally different from what you just saw.
That's right. That's also why we're not releasing patch notes today. And we're going to actually discuss when patch notes will be released later on the stream. So we'll reveal that.
And one thing I do want to note is because I'm seeing this like a little bit in chat and people are going like, hey, you guys are adjusting some tweaks with for instance druid summons and their minions. Same thing with there's a lot of questions about hey, what's the overall plan on minion builds and so forth in the future? Is that something you guys are still going to want to work on, look at in the future?
I can talk about this for a very long time. Yes. Druid and Necromancer are a little bit different, so I guess I'll talk Necromancer first. So Necromancer Minions is absolutely a core fantasy of Necromancer players that minions are cool and awesome and that you can raise the dead and have the dead fight for you. That is core. Minions, it turns out, in all games, not just ours, or summons or all that, are very complicated and hard to make work. They have a lot of moving parts that are different than every other class and build archetype in many games. They have AI, they have a passive and active component to them typically. There's a lot going on. So in this patch, we're not touching the Necromancer stuff a lot. It is on the team's radar of looking at the ways that they scale, looking at the ways that things proc with them, looking at just the combination of passive versus active activity that we want the player to do there. So there's definitely a lot going on there. We are thinking about it. There will be stuff coming, but no promises on when, but we are actively talking about it. Druid is a little bit different because from the ground up, the class fantasy is not only minions, right? It's like a specific build and way to play. One of the things that we were concerned about when launching the game is we didn't want the Druid to have just as many or more companions than the Necromancer, and they're stronger. It's where's the fantasy of the Necromancer if the Druid does it better, right? So that was something that we contended with a lot. I'm sure that we're going to flex on that over time. We did add support. We still love companions on Druid, and